When you think things can't get any worse, especially when it comes to our cities, think again. Today we're going to discuss what we just heard. Are we looking at a dystopian future, especially for the cities? But let's talk about a story that just dropped that proves my point. You got to get out of the cities. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. It does help us stay in the algorithm, and it also helps us spread our message across this platform. So thank you so very much. And if you like this content, let us know below. It does mean the world to us to share our lives with you each and every day. Now today's video talks about, again, my push for you to get out of the cities. And so many people say, oh, you know, the cities are not that bad. I live in this city and it's not nearly as bad. I live here and it's not bad. Yeah, but here's the case. While they're pushing, self-defense tools to go over to Ukraine and Israel and to all these areas, they're trying to take those rights away from you. Now, there's a new story that come out just yesterday and the day before, and now it's starting to get traction, that Pittsburgh is saying, well, during certain hours of the night, the police will not respond to certain calls. If there's certain things that are going down that have went on, that's not an emergency right now, if it's not going on right now, then we're just not going to dispatch the police. Now, there's a few problems with this. Now, the story is, well, if it's not a major emergency, we can wait till later on. Also, you hear, well, if it's not a dangerous situation where, you know, there's an active threat, then we're not going to come there. You know, it reminds me of the movie The Purge. Now, I don't challenge you to go watch The Purge by any means, but we're literally seeing a dystopian future where our city officials, I mean, again, remember, you pay taxes for this. Even though we don't really get the benefits of our taxes. For instance, I pay for my own water. I have a water well. I pay for my own sewer. I pay for my own trash pickup. I don't get any benefits from the city. The city or county does not give me any benefits. I've put in my own roads. So then you say, well, maybe they're there for protection. You know, they give us police. They give us everything working up to the safety of our area. Well, all of a sudden, we have a city that is saying, well, during certain hours, we're just not going to allow the police or EMTs to come to you. Well, that's what happened in the dystopian movie The Purge, where after a certain amount of time, it's like, well, people just do what they want to do because ultimately they know there's no one going to stop it. So if a city says, well, we're not going to actively pursue maybe a crime that's going on at this time, from this window to this window, does that mean a curfew for, you know, more criminal activity will go on? Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's like me saying, kids, I'm going to allow you to do whatever you want to do, eat as much junk food as you want to eat during this time. But then after that time, you can't eat junk food anymore. And then I'll lay all the junk food out on the table and say, well, don't touch it. But if you want to touch it, you got to touch it between this time. What do you think those kids are going to do? They're going to eat the junk food. So we're telling criminals, during this time, we're not going to be watching over this part of the city. We're not going to be doing really aggressive policing. We're not going to protect and serve like we're supposed to. So you're on your own. It says police officers in Pittsburgh will no longer respond to low priority calls. Now, what is low priority? Does that mean if you're in certain neighborhoods, it's considered low priority? I would be very mad about that if I lived in the city, especially big cities like this that are seeing a lot more crime. It says officers will still respond to in-progress emergencies for people who are in need at that time. But say something has happened or something did happen, nah, you're not priority anymore. You're low priority. The change went into effect Monday, and it is a part of sweeping operational adjustments for the Bureau meant to allocate resources to more efficient ways to serve the community. Do you hear that? More efficient ways to serve the community. So we're not going to serve certain areas, we're not going to do certain things, but we're only going to serve and protect certain people in certain places at certain times. Does that sound like they're actually serving and protecting you? Now the question is, what happens during that time? Are you responsible to take care of your family? Yes, that's what I always tell you. If you are going to live in these cities, you cannot rely on everybody else to take care of you. You have to learn sustainability and self-sufficiency, even self-protection, because now they're literally telling you the times that they're not going to serve and protect you. Now the sad thing is, like, look at Oregon. Oregon allowed for basically decriminalizing all drug use for the last few years. What happened? Well, just what you thought. It skyrocketed. Murders, crimes, theft, and overdoses skyrocketed because we lax the policy. So when we start seeing cities do this, we're going to lax the policy of serving and protecting. So therefore, we're going to see more criminality. So what happens? Then I look at New York and say, well, the police can't control it, so I guess we got to bring in the military. Did we not just talk about this? The dangers of martial law, the dangers of chaos. Chaos causes mischief. Mischief brings in more control, more regulation, and more overreach by government. It's amazing that people are not seeing this. So when I tell you to get out of the cities, I hate when people say, well, we can't, we just financially can't. How can you financially stay there? How can you safely stay there and raise a family? How can you want to put yourself in there? This is not Gotham. Batman is not coming to save you. This is not the Marvel universe to where if something goes wrong, the police are not there and all of a sudden some superhero is going to just flash in. It doesn't work that way. And if we keep believing that the government is there to take care of us when we're worried about building a Gazan little island so we can get support to them, then we are sadly mistaken. I don't laugh at people passing by any means, but even we messed up giving aid to people. We dropped aid in Gaza and literally killed several people because their packages fell on them and killed them. So we can't get even taking care of people right. Right now, remember, there's a police shortage all over major cities because they feel like they're not supported. A lot of them are retiring. There's not new people getting into it. So therefore, when there's a fall in policing, then we prioritize how we serve and protect. We're seeing this literally in Pittsburgh. I interviewed an officer not long ago. I'm not going to talk about the name, talk about the specifics, because to me it opens up, again, a problem like this where we're saying Pittsburgh is open for criminality during this certain time. But I talked to an officer not too long ago and he said, during certain times, there's certain places we will not go in the city. And I said, why? He said, because we know crime is happening there. However, we know we are opening up a can of worms if we put officers there. We know that officers are going to face a safety issue. They're also going to face probably more persecution. So therefore, we just choose not to go there. So is it fair for those residents who live in that area to not have protection? No. And I voiced my opinion on that. I said, well, what about those people? He said, well, that's why we tell people to be safe and lock in. There's a guy I know in that neighborhood. He said it literally at 5 o'clock. He said, I want to make sure I'm home. He said, I cannot sell my house because I've lost all the value in it, because when I bought it, the neighborhood was nice. It was thriving. He said, but now it's full of criminals and theft. He said, and I cannot literally sell my house, Colby. He said, I literally cannot sell it because this is my livelihood. He said, so at 5 o'clock, he said, I know I've got to be home. I know I've got to be there with my wife. And we know we're not going to take our dog out. We know we're not going to go outdoors because we know the risk. Is that the America we want to live in? I mean, this is a true story. Is that the America that we want to live in? All the while, they're not cutting your tax dollars. They're not giving credits to those areas. You're still paying taxes. And again, we're sending billions of dollars across the seas to serve and protect. And all the while, our borders open. And now our cities are literally looking at doing the purge. Boy, that's dystopian futures right there. So now what? Well, Oregon's all of a sudden now starting to criminalize drug use because they realize, oh my gosh, we made a major problem. The cities that are now saying, well, we're not going to criminalize, we're going to allow to defund the police, now they're realizing criminals are having a heyday and a holiday in their towns, and it's causing major problems. This will cause a major problem. Because we're saying, hey, we're not going to police these certain areas at certain times, so, go ahead and break the law. That's exactly what they're saying. So the more that we allow this to happen, the more we're going to see the New York situation where we bring in national government, national policing, overreach. Is this just a sick cycle carousel? I use that word all the time, but I feel like that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at a dystopian future when it comes to our towns. Please, if I could tell you to do anything, please get out of the towns, get out of the cities, try to find a rural piece of land, try to co-op, try to go in with some other family and take care of yourself by getting out of these cities. You can have a washer dryer. You can literally live with a car. You literally don't have all the fees that you have in the city. Cities cost a lot to live in. You'd be surprised how much money you'd save if you moved to rural America. First of all, you'd be safe, you'd save money, and you could probably have a better sleep at night knowing that you're okay and that your family's okay. This is some serious stuff. If I lived in Pennsylvania, especially Pittsburgh, I'd be up in arms by this. In most cities, you better be watching out because this is the foreshadowing that you're going to see. The dangers coming to you is very dystopian. Well, we're not going to surf and protect at certain times. So what does that mean? You better find ways to protect yourself. I don't think that's the America that we signed up for, was it? So give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. Is this a good policy, bad policy? Is this a lax policy that's going to cause a dystopian future? Is this going to help a pendulum swing back towards things like, look at El Salvador, look at Argentina. There's another few areas that are starting to see this movement towards a more nationalist approach to say, you know what, we're taking care of our people. We're done taking care of the world. We're done policing the world. We're going to start taking care of our people again. And I think that's what needs to happen here in America. Guys, let me know your thoughts. I hope you have a phenomenal day and realize you can take care of yourself. You can do better. But it starts with you making those decisions to say, you know what, I can't depend on the government to fix it, to serve and protect me. I've got to do it myself, and I'm going to start doing that by maybe getting on a budget, maybe prepping more, maybe buying more food, maybe buying self-defense. It's all about you and taking care of your family. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.